Brahmajaloka Tipati Sahampati Gat Anjaliana Tiwarang Ayajata Santi Tasattab Parachakachatika Tese tu dhammang anukampamang puchang.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. Okay. So, just wanted to point out that it's nice to see that, I'm doing this about once a month, but it seems like there's a bit of a core group, familiar faces. Yep. Everybody, some new faces. So, and it's nice that when I asked about, doing it this winter, that people were appreciative. I know Ajahn Pavro, he was here for most of them, and yeah, we kind of thought that just like us, everyone else enjoys some more Dhamma in the winter, right? Because the winter can be kind of long. So that's really good. Good to know. Okay, so what I thought to speak about was I wanted to give a talk about something that would just encourage us all, give us, I could say the word faith, but renewed confidence this is a worthwhile project, and the Buddha knew the project very well, and gave us exceptional instruction and encouragement and all these things to keep practicing. It's also a nice subject because you can take it most any place, because all the teachings really give us confidence. That's kind of what I was thinking of. And at what I was actually speaking with, had a tea with some of the lay group here yesterday, that what I was really impressed by when I started reading the Buddha's teachings was that he really was absolutely happy and willing and wanted to talk about anything that would be helpful. Whether it was the highest states of meditation to, I was saying how much I appreciated just seeing him saying simple things like, for a layperson, if you have wealth, he encouraged you use some of it to make yourself happy, and and at ease and healthy, and these things. Use some of it to make your friends and family happy and at ease. You can use some of it to, support contemplatives and people in need, right? People who could use generosity. And then I think the fourth one is to put some away, right? To save. I might be mixing up two lists, but I love the basic, undeniable wisdom of that, and that he didn't try and he wasn't like trying to jazz up everything, right? Like sometimes it seems, in any religious tradition, it can get really fun to look at the really amazing, wow, like a miracle, or and that has its place, of course. But I was really impressed by the Buddha's his deep compassion that he was for people if they were, wondering how to direct their lives. He gave really solid, applicable advice. And then I came across, so that's something very mundane, but I really appreciated this short teaching that he gave to a wandering monk who wasn't particularly attached to any tradition. Just someone who was seeking the truth. And it's very profound. It's very simple. So I'll just read it here from Bhikkhu Bodhi's amazing translation, or Nyanaponika Thera and Bhikkhu Bodhi. Okay. There was once a wandering ascetic, or wandering monk, named Moliya Sivaka, and he addressed the Blessed One as follows. It is said, Venerable Sir, the Dhamma is directly visible. How, Venerable Sir, is the Dhamma directly visible? Immediate, inviting one to come and see, worthy of application, to be experienced by the wise. Well, Sivaka, I shall in return question you about this. You may answer as you see fit. What do you think, Sivaka? When there is greed in you, will you know there is greed in me? And when there is no greed in you, will you know there is no greed in me? Yes, Venerable Sir, I shall know. If you then know of the greed present in you, that is there, and when greed is absent, that it is absent, that is the way Dhamma is directly visible. What do you think, Sivaka? When there is hatred or delusion in you, will you know there is hatred, there is delusion in me? And when you know there's no hatred and no delusion in you, will you know that too? Yes, Venerable Sir, I shall know that. If you thus know of the hatred and delusion present in you, that it is there, and when hatred or delusion is absent, that it is absent, that is a way the Dhamma is directly visible. In this way, Sivaka, the Dhamma is directly visible, immediate, inviting one to come and see, worthy of application, to be personally experienced by the wise. That's it. That's the whole sutta. I love the Anguttara Nikaya, it's just the best. Whew. I don't know, I'm very, I put this, I don't know of any other, I could be wrong, spiritual teaching or religion that is just so perfect, right? Like, there's nothing, you don't have to believe anything there, it's just, he's pointing out that the Dhamma is you, what you experience. That is the root of the whole thing, right? Because that's really all you have direct, big quotes here, control over, right? And that's where you can really make a difference for yourself, of course, and ultimately for other people. So I think such a simple teaching can give such amazing confidence. So you know that the Buddhist teachings are built on, okay, I'm a builder, so you get a lot of these kind of builder ideas, but the foundation, right? The foundation of a building, the foundation of the teachings is like truth, immediate, present, knowable. That's like the rock solid basis of what the Buddha had found out. So I find that quite amazing, and then that's where his mind went when this wandering monk asked him this question. So, like that teaching, well, one is we can take that, that's a spark, right? So, we can know our own minds, and I also appreciate it because if the Buddha didn't know, the Buddha didn't know that our own minds sometimes are affected with greed, and sometimes they're affected with various kinds of hatred, and sometimes they're deluded in various ways. He wouldn't have taken the time to use those as his way of showing how real this all is, how real the teachings are, how directly visible and immediate. And then I think that's kind of the point of the teaching then, is taking any of the teachings the Buddha gives, right? We have lots of lists. We have the 4 out efforts. We have Sila, Samadhi, Panya, right? We have, all of them. And then you can take these, and I find this such a good teaching because it's really, sometimes we need to get reminded that the list, these teachings are to be realized directly, right? We want to know them. So we have to investigate how, so if we have greed in the mind, so what does that feel like? What are the various shades of greed? And grasping. I think that's another way of saying greed. Greed can be, can be kind of, I want a new car, I want to take a vacation. That's fair, but greed can also be they're not acting the way I want them to, right? They're interpersonal dynamics. Why aren't they in this bad mood again? I mean, they're supposed to be. This is someone close to me. This is a friend, and how, in a way, it's kind of funny, but as if they would have greed in their mind, and where they would be angry and be subject to these kind of the similar forces that that you experience. So, this kind of reality that, so greed, these roots, so greed, hatred, and delusion, right? They're kind of talking about roots. They're really broad categories, right? Very broad. So, kind of grasping, wanting, even needing your life to be a certain way, needing to be in a certain place. And you can see that I'm trying to, convey this kind of need, grasping. I gotta have it this way, which is very different than, any intention along those lines that isn't affected by greed, right? It would be really nice to go XYZ, or if this change was able to happen, okay, I'll work at that, right? It's kind of this, you have an intention, you have a wholesome state of mind. You can see its benefits. There's still a desire, right? It's not that a movement of the mind towards something is wrong. It's that you're not, like one good translation of craving is thirst. It's not, you're not putting your happiness on it. If I don't get this, that is, what about me? What about me if I don't have this? And then, and which brings me to the other theme, the kind of second theme that plays into all this, of course, is if the kind of what what is the greed? Who is the greed serving? And who is the hatred is trying to protect? And who is the center of the universe? So those are my three questions. So who is the greed serving is me. What is the hatred trying to protect? It's me. And who is the center of the universe? Again, that's the delusion. So that's greed, hatred, delusion. The delusion is that there's an I that is kind of the video, it's like a video game. There's this little figure, and that's as if the whole game is the little figure. Right? And we think we're that figure. But it's just, it's an assumption. And so I guess there's those two parts of this. There's the immediacy, there's the greed, hatred, and delusion, and what they're pointing to. So for me, it's just a real good encouragement to keep looking in those places. Look, which is the immediate greed, hatred, and delusion, and me, myself, and I. Right? So I really think that's something I'm very grateful for Lungpor. This kind of lots of emphasis on, so why knowing dukkha, knowing what's difficult and suffering and getting to the root. And this is something that I think a lot of us during the winter retreat, we're really lucky that you get to explore more in a more hands-on way, because you can see, even just something like meditating. I'm trying to get the breath. I can't get the breath. What's wrong? It's such a frustrating sit. I just don't want to be. You start. What am I trying to get from a breath? I've been breathing my whole life. Never sent me to the. And of course, we are practicing mindfulness of breathing like we did earlier. And it's very interesting me trying to give those instructions, because it's like another way I was trying to. I didn't quite go to the explanation, but mindfulness of breathing is a bit like riding a bike. So I'll try this out. It's a bit like riding a bike. Your breath is the bike. So, in one way, it's very simple. You just balance yourself, and you make your feet. You do that, and actually, it's really great. It can be a lot of fun. And then you could say, well, there's nothing technical about riding a bike. It's very simple. Once they have the saying, it's like riding a bike. Once you learn, you can always ride a bike. It's very easy. At the same time, riding a bike is kind of technical, right? When you learn, right, at first you're kind of wobbling around, and you have to try and move your feet and do the thing with your arms, and so it takes a bit. Mindfulness of breathing, I would say, has some similarities. You kind of, I don't know how to say this, you kind of learning how to let it bring you somewhere without trying to force it to bring you somewhere. There's obviously a point to it. We're not just kind of, whatever happens, I'm just going to sit here and turn into a slug, right? There's actually something very profound going on, but you learn that that you have to be right there with it. You have to be directly knowing what's going on, and you need to start to understand. It's kind of, you start learning by trying to stay with this breath about the forces of greed, hatred, and delusion to some extent, right? And I also think it's like, and I'm not sure how far I can go with the bike analogy, but they're going to knock us off balance, right? Or they're going to force us to overcompensate, right? So, I finally got it. I had one pleasant breath. Let's get it again. Right? Hard turn, and down the bike goes, right? Or I don't want it to be this way, and you just keep slamming on the brakes, and then the bike loses all momentum, and you just kind of fall. It's so painful. I want it to be like that sit last time. Delusion. What would be delusion? I'll have to work on that one, as far as I can take the analogy at the moment. But also like riding a bike. Riding a bike for its own purpose can be fun, especially if you're a kid. But usually you ride a bike, you're trying to go somewhere. So maybe in a similar way, breath, the breath is just the tool, it's the vehicle, right? It's something and that's kind of even like, it sounds mechanical. It's more than just it's not a boring tool. It's like, it's a vibrant, bikes are kind of like that. They're pretty neat. You have to be right with it. It's always responsive. It's, you're going to be going on different terrain. You're going to experience different kinds of breath and your body, the terrain you're riding through. And it's deceptively simple. So once you get the hang of it, what you start having to work with is more subtle things, right? And same with riding a bike. If you want to pick up speed, you have to get the balance all that down. Then you have to start working with things like, is the chain tension properly? Am I pedaling fast enough? You might lean down to get yourself out of the wind. You might try and get yourself on the smoothest part of the road, not off the shoulder on the gravel. These kinds of things. So it's a kind of neat analogy. And I bring it up because it's an important part of our practice, and especially I find in these Sunday sits. So we're only sitting for half an hour, right? It's like, what could we possibly do in half an hour in a sit? Maybe you can do a lot, sadhu, but mainly, it's like we're getting getting the bike going in a good, smooth direction with some speed, so that when I talk, and you bring up a recollection as simple as, what is this all? What's the Dhamma? What is it? Is there greed in your mind? Is there no greed in your mind? Is there aversion in your mind? Is there no aversion in your mind? Is there delusion in your mind? Is there no delusion in your mind? So that's why we do the half an hour, so that when those questions get asked and you ask them to yourself, do you actually connect with anything? Do you see? Can you see? And that's so much of what the Buddha's teaching is. That's actually the whole point. All this meditative, potentially amazingness, right? First jhana, second jhana, third jhana, first jhana, fourth jhana, sitting still for 24 hours without moving. Never done it, but people who can. It can be, I'm sure, as they say, incredible and very enjoyable in its own right. But the point is to help you actually. It's amazing just to see what that was teaching clearly. That's it. That's incredible. And so I really appreciate that. I really appreciate the Buddha's emphasis on what's real, which seems to be that we don't know what's real. We're kind of deluded, right? Or we're confused, right? And it's no fault of ours in a way. All beings, it's like easy enough. But that's the project, to see clearly, and it of course takes a lot of work. It takes consistent work, and it takes a level of play, like a kid. you give a little kid a little block. They might not be interested at all, but they might for an hour. Just, okay, 2 blocks, and they could stack them this way and stack them that way, and then pretend they're, try this, try that, try this, try that. Very happy to be there, happy to be doing this interesting thing, working. So that's kind of the practice, is to kind of, we need to keep inspiring that and refreshing the mind. And so the Buddha gave us these wonderful tools like mindfulness of breathing to refresh the mind, to collect it, and then we can use it then and kind of enjoy the work, enjoy the play of, and be able to then have some integrity of the mind, some momentum, some of that momentum going forward, so that when we are able to see things clearly, connect well, and not get bogged down when, we hit a pothole or we hit, poor gravel, or someone cuts us off. We can keep going. So, yeah, may your wheels have lots of air. May your chains be well tensioned. Your brakes work properly, and may your practice fly as fast as any bike ever could.
Hantamaya Dhammakataya Satukarang Dadamase. Sadhu, 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 anumodami.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, Nisanka.
You have been practicing from a long time.
Yeah.
Even before, I know that. And so I was very taken up by the simple way you describe the Dhamma, but also it's very deep.
Hmm.
So I have a question that comes to mind. You talk about the mind knowing the mind. I have not much seen expression of the time when mind does not know the mind.
Oh, that's nice.
So, through your practice, can you give some reflections of the both of them?
Sure. Yeah, great. Thanks, Nisanka. Yeah, I might venture to guess, for most people, most of life is the mind not knowing the mind. It's the mind knowing, and I don't want to be too judgmental, it's the mind knowing Netflix, it's the mind knowing this story or that story, right? It's the mind, knowing something else. So I'll just reflect on it in a second. So it could be pretty benign, I need a tissue, so my attention with the tissue, right? I'm gonna get the tissue out of the box. You have a job, probably, so you may have had a job, so you have to know what you're doing. Of course, you need to know the mind to some extent, right? To do your job well, you have to know what you're coming with, and but yeah, I think here's a good example. Let's say you're having a debate with someone, and you're very rational in your debate, but you don't necessarily, the mind may not be sensitive enough, or just sensitive to some emotional state, right, that has arisen, especially in the body, right, that you would feel, and then you don't realize that maybe that's actually what's driving your I think we've all done this, I would say, to some extent. That's kind of what's driving your argument. We think where it's really about the logic of, but the mind is not knowing what's it's coming from, right? The emotional state. Or it could be something even guttural, right? Like a insecure, a fear, something you fear in the body. So that could be an example of the mind not knowing the mind, not aware. I might even venture to say that, when we have a very strong sense of me, maybe that's the mind not knowing the mind, because the mind's not really, it's not perceiving what's real. It's not perceiving that the sense of me is the sense of me, right, as opposed to a me. It's a very strong sense of me and mine, but fascinatingly enough, a very strong sense of me or mine is a very strong sense of me or mine. It's not me or mine. Interesting. So, I guess it's just kind of natural that people will pay attention to with the objects, right? Things outside. And that's to an extent natural. Yeah, and then the mind knowing the mind. Yeah, like the Buddha's taught, like the Buddha's, I feel like the Blessed One has said here, that we are knowing the mind. Is there greed in the mind? Is there hatred in the mind? Is the mind impermanent? Right? Is what we're experiencing right now, is it impermanent? Is it going to last? So is it mine? That's a really interesting place to look. I found that, I have to be honest, to some respect, practicing the Buddha's teachings, it can be sometimes like you can lose sight of the fact that a big part of it is just the Buddha asking you if what you think you are is really what you think you are. And so you have habits. So you could have some very good habits of, I did that so well. Fair, you might have done it really well. But then someone says, hey, you didn't do a very good job. Hey, I know what I'm talking about. It's kind of, this. I feel a little bad about, us assuming, this is just natural, right? We assume we have a me, a really solid me. But that's, in the end, what kind of fools us. So that could be good things, it could be the bad things. I'm so lazy. I'm always lazy when it comes to this thing. And then, so I think I encouraged another talk that I found it somewhat helpful to sometimes, with enough attention and I think the Buddha does this with people, so just think that through, right? Was I lazy yesterday? Was I lazy yesterday morning? Is there any reason why I might be feeling lazy right now that's not because of me? Maybe there's a condition, something happened. And then you can know it. And I think it's like a little wedge of non-delusion, that kind of, maybe, this is a habit. And there could be other things playing into this, like our health sometimes, right? This lazy example, right? I'm so lazy. After lunch, I'm always so lazy. Why am I so lazy after lunch? I am lazy. It's not so, more skillful would be, oh yeah, I feel, you can use the I, there's a lot of laziness in the mind right now. I just ate a big meal. And I ate maybe too much. And I'm sleepy. And then you can take really proactive measures because it's a conditioned thing. And it arises through conditions and you can kind of affect it. Yeah, and I think that sense of I is quite deep, and I do think it's worth, when one has some level of collectedness, kind of like we were talking about before, like we sit for half an hour, to then you can use thinking. You can, once the thinking is coming from a mind, like, what would be my example? So we're on the bike. Instead of, it's like we've been trying to get somewhere and we're just kind of parked on the bike and we're thinking about where we want to be in terms of this destination, which is knowledge, real knowledge. And, but we're not moving. So we need some momentum. So we need some collectedness. The mind needs to have some calm and settledness and collectedness and goodness and brightness, and then when we take up, it's like, am I really lazy? And especially because now we have some distance, so you do this later on in the day after you had your big meal. Well, I'm not lazy at all, actually. When I eat too much, the mind gets, especially if I eat too much pizza, I'm not good with wheat, and everything just goes down, right? And you can see, and even the mood can. So I can be honest, even the mood can shift, right? And then it can be easier for the I'm lazy and I'm stupid, bad, and then you have to kind of. You can use this insight at a distance. Not only will it give you more freedom if it happens again, but you'll be better at avoiding it because you're seeing, oh, I can change this. I don't have to be bogged down by it's mine, but it's real. It's a real relationship, so I can work with it. And I think it's worth. I have found that worthwhile being brave enough to actually think. Maybe I can start actually looking at this me thing. And like when I'm most happy, is there a really strong sense of me? That's a fascinating question. Okay, so I hope that answered your question. So any questions? They don't have to be related to anything I've said. It could be, why do the robes look like they look? But yes. Yeah.
I looked at some videos of Buddhist temples in the States,
Mm-hmm.
like the Lao temples, and they decorate their temples for leaders with money, like money trees.
Oh yeah, money trees.
Hills,
Yeah.
things like that. And then some of them can handle money. It's not an issue. So why is there a different protocol?
Right. Okay. Yeah. Nice. Good question. Okay. So, well, I could. Yeah. I mean, we're of the Thai forest tradition, right? So, Luang Cha. So we try. There's a strong emphasis on trying to do it as they did, right, 2,500 years ago, and so it's pretty clear, that monks are not. The Buddha did not want us using money. Now, and then, to an extent, since that time, things have changed in the society, right? Back then, my impression is money wasn't as, some people probably didn't have any. They just bartered. Probably a lot of people got by bartering. So, but there was money, right? And so it could be that, maybe people feel that in order to operate in this world, you need to use money, right? Even as monks, monastics. And, for example, we here, this will be the one that comes to my mind most frequently is, we need, here we've got two of our stewards here, and we also have the servers, and without them kind of being around, it would be really hard for us to do this. Especially, the money, and then in today's society, to get anywhere, you kind of need money too. You need to drive, right? So you could see that, and interestingly, one thing that a monk is supposed to be is easy to support. So is it easy for me to be supported if I need someone to drive me everywhere? Right? It's a fair question. It's a fair question. So some monks, use money and they do drive. Both, not just in that tradition and others. So it happens. But of course, we try and I think it becomes cultural and, the money tree, even here, in theory, we could have a money tree. We just wouldn't be able to touch it, right? A layperson could set a money tree up and people can put money on it and then, the stewards will take it. So I think it's actually been done. I think there has been a money tree or one or two in Tisarana's existence. Yeah, and then, so that's okay. And then just the use of money. So money, the Buddha just points out, that if monks can use money, then they have access to all 5 kinds of sensual pleasure. And they can kind of choose, and right, I can buy whatever food I want, go wherever I want, right? You kind of get it. And, of course, greed, making money and all these things. So, so we try and stick to that, the Buddha's initial injunction, not to use money. And at the same time, as you can see, I can talk about a lot of things, but this is just interesting. So just so you know, too, like monks, I can use a transport pass, right? So is that money? Kinda, but it's different. It's different from normal money because I can't use it to get 5 chords of sensual pleasure. All I can use it for is to, move from A to B. Or what's another one? Well, yeah, and then in today's society, someone can give me a gift card, or someone has given, for whatever, books or Lee Valley tools. And you could even make a case that a monk, even by the Buddha's strictures, maybe as a monk I could use them because it's not for sensual pleasures it's for a tool. But we just try and be safe about it. And so even if someone were to give me a gift card, I'd ask Curtis to use it to purchase the thing for me. So yeah, so it's I have to say, maybe just a very simple reflection about it is I'm just really happy I don't have to use money, right? Because getting it and these things, it really helps simplify our lives, and I think we all know that monastics. It's a amazing opportunity we get where our reason d'etre, the point of what we do is we are given, the lay people give us this wonderful opening, right, where we don't have to work a full-time job. Sometimes I forget. Maybe I don't forget. I think about it quite a bit. I don't have to pay any heating bill. I don't have to rent my room. I have no mortgage. that's incredible. And so I get all day. I mean, I actually have to. We've got responsibilities, of course, but I kind of have all day to just focus on practice, right? And then the caveat too being, it's kind of, like I help look after a bunch of things here and build things and these things. But yeah, it's a great gift, I would say. So in a way, it's almost a gift that the lay people are providing the monks. It's like, because if no one was willing to use money on my behalf, not on my behalf, if no one was willing to be able to use money to help support me, I'd starve, probably. So in a way, I think it's that relationship that the lay community also has to be into, that relationship of, someone will drive me places and someone will cook me food and, pay for my medical bills.
What happens when you're traveling like to the Asia or something?
Yeah.
It's long and there's no break, and maybe you run out of food.
Yeah, it's almost the best part. So here's a good one. So once I went on a tudong, right? And so I was walking from point A to point B, and I had, in a different country, I mean, it's a modern country and things, but I had no money, and I had no food. Didn't know anybody. It was really neat, right? So people gave me food, and someone paid for a hotel room for me, and it was the best part. It was like his best day in a long time. He said that. He said it was like made his month or made his year or something. So yeah, or in an airport, wonderful Thai. Not just Thais, but Thais just to materialize, and that saved me once, and or we fast, or we would just book our flights correctly so that we get to eat the meal. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There is a book in your library here where I cannot remember which one it is, but there is a piece in there explaining that it would appear the life of a monk is simpler, and practicing as a monk is also easier, as opposed to a lay person who's out there dealing with all of the temptations and the greediness and the needs and all that. And this article explains why that's not it. Why your life is not any easier than mine. Just because you're in a monastic life does not mean that you don't struggle with the same kinds of things we struggle with as lay people. So reminded me of that very good article.
Yeah, that's great. Do you know which book that's in?
I have to go. I will make a promise to you. I will
all right,
I
yeah.
will tell you next time I see you.
Yeah. No, in a way, we don't get to we don't get any break. There's no. It's everything that is difficult, and you have to learn from it, and yeah. Which is it's quite amazing. It's just like everyone else, but just that we don't really have a other thing. It's like we are here to learn. That's like the whole thing.
You also have a job.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
a kind of a bartering job.
Yes.
Your job is to teach me.
Well, that's right, and that means I have to, if someone wants to know about, how to overcome this or that, that's the job. Yeah, and I think too you can understand then that it's very important for monks then, like to know that to have these senior monks who've monastics who've done it, and then can help train us, right? Can show us how this works, because well, books help, but yeah, to be in their presence. Yeah.
Dhammadana is the most valuable.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. And I mean, I'll go there a little bit. There is teachings of lifetimes here, right? The Buddha, he did talk about that. This is the idea that, so sometimes, or even just this lifetime, what we're learning from, how to put it, everyone has a different mountain to scale. Maybe I'll put it that way. Right? And where you are on the mountain could be very different. Right? So I think that's a really good one. And that's something that is a really good lesson when you're here. Is it's not like it really is that way, right? Like if it's very much an ecosystem of karma, right? Of what you've done, what you've cultivated in yourself, your own habits. That's really what you're working with. You're really working. It's not like it's not like we all get the same set of parts and we all have to build the same bike. Right? It's like we're all having different parts here, right? And we're all, some of it's similar, and probably, monks, the sense is similar because we've all had enough good momentum to become monastics. But yeah, you really got to work with it, right? With what you're dealing with, and so that's. I was very tempted to say that when you mentioned a monk's life not being easy necessarily, but what I found super amazing, and it's a big mountain to scale, is that monastic life is extremely dynamic. So that's the word I want to use. It's dynamic. You'd think getting up at 5, chanting, and then breakfast, and then work period, and then lunch, and then same schedule, kind of again and again and again. You'd think that would be very undynamic, right? Kind of humdrum, boring, same old, same old. That'd be nice, No, it's like you're very, just like anyone else, but I would say it's surprising in this context, because you would think it might be very every day, but it's super dynamic. It's the whole path, Eightfold Path. There's speech, there's action, there's how you think, how you feel, how we move, how we organize ourselves, how I travel, how I look after my own health, how I look after someone else's health, how I, so it's really amazing. And again, it's interesting, my mind keeps coming back, so it's really nice. It's, I feel very lucky that this tradition is so, we were kind of elders, right? Very important to see, like Luang Por Liam visiting last year, even though, I don't know how many people came for that, but he's so famous, and it's you can't really sit down and have a 1-hour talk with him, kind of one-on-one, but it was well worth it, just the time we had with him, and his presence, his example in his presence, and the teachings he gave. Again, very simple. He was very practical, but goes straight to it. So yeah, really lucky. And of course, Luang Por, who he leads us so well, and always giving teachings. just teaching, living with someone, that's a teaching, right? So yeah, we're very lucky. We're all very lucky. Yeah. So, unless someone has a super short one, I think we're done. Okay, well, yeah, that was, thank you for